And I have honestly never seen a company fumble the bag so hard like the WNBA fumbled Caitlin Clark. It sucks that so much of it was riddled with so much drama and so much negativity.
This tale goes beyond sports. It serves as a warning about how hubris, opportunistic leadership, and a single, catastrophic error may wipe away an empire before it even gets off the ground. The WNBA was holding the golden ticket. A once-in-a-generation celebrity who excelled off the court as well. Cultural currency was what she was. Caitlin Clark was more than just a point-scoring player. She was a force, a movement, and a brand that introduced women's basketball to millions of new people. This should have been a moment of victory for a league that had been fighting for decades to become mainstream. However, they destroyed her rather than uplifting her. They regarded her as though she were disposable rather than as the league's savior. And in doing so, they committed a grave error that might follow them for decades. What began as a fairy tale has now escalated into a conflict. Additionally, Caitlin Clark is receiving her retribution. She was holding something far more potent than a ball. Make use of leverage. She is exposing the WNBA's incapacity in the boardroom, which is the only setting where it truly counts. The kicker is this. The Sharks are already stalking rival leagues, multi-billionaire investors, and even non-sporting personalities. They all witness something the WNBA won't acknowledge. More significant than the league itself is Caitlin Clark. How, however, did everything go so wrong? How could the WNBA take the most exciting athlete in years and somehow make her debut a tale of humiliation and treachery? Stay put because you'll see this is more than simply poor management once you see the numbers, the disrespect, and the offers coming in from other leagues. History is rewritten by this type of failure. It seemed more than just like another high draft selection joining the league when Caitlin Clark took the stage on a national level. It seemed as though a movement was about to start. She wasn't only rewriting history when Clark took over collegiate basketball. She was reimagining what American women's sports could be. Every game she played became into a spectacle. The ratings went up. Highlights became widely shared. On playgrounds all throughout the nation, children mimicked her logo-range three-pointers. She was more than just a player now. She represented a culture. The tale was already written by the time the WNBA draft arrived. The coronation was meant to take place here. The league had been waiting for anything like this for decades. A celebrity with the ability to popularize the entire sport. The key was Clark. Her influence was instantaneous, and she was the face that might finally provide the WNBA with what it had sorely needed: significance. Her game sold out more quickly than ever before. On resale markets, prices soared. Before Caitlin Clark arrived, whole venues were packed with spectators, many of whom had never seen a WNBA game in their lives. She attracted millions of new viewers almost immediately, making her an instant ratings magnet. Words could never fully convey the story, only figures could. Records of attendance were destroyed. Sales of merchandise skyrocketed. The events were too much for even the most casual sports fans to ignore. A league that had languished on the periphery for years had been given new life by Caitlin Clark alone. It ought to have been flawless. It ought to have marked the start of a brand new golden age. As we'll see, however, what first appeared to be a fairy tale swiftly devolved into a nightmare behind the scenes. Because the league reacted with the type of disdain that would come back to haunt them, even though Caitlin Clark fulfilled all of her promises. There was more than simply hype. It was fact. The WNBA's whole environment shifted when Caitlin Clark joined the league. You could see it without squinting. The picture depicted by the statistics was so spectacular that it nearly seemed unreal. For instance, consider attendance. Every previous record was broken by the attendance of her team, the Indiana Fever. The Fever's overall attendance at the end of the season wasn't just more than everyone else's. It had more supporters than the next closest team in league history, more than 200,000. 200,000, growth isn't that. That is revolutionary. It didn't end there, either. The nationwide broadcast had a sharp increase in viewership of more than 21%. This wasn't a setback for a league that had been pleading for significance for years. It served as a lifeline. All of a sudden, Caitlin Clark was drawing in viewers who had never seen a WNBA game before. Over time, her accomplishments, rivalries, and influence dominated news cycles. She was a real economic force. Every jersey that was sold out, every ticket she sold, and every increase in TV ratings all went straight back into the league. What decades of marketing tactics had failed to do, Clark was able to do in a single season. She brought the WNBA to the attention of the country. The kicker is this: she was still a rookie when she accomplished all of this. She wasn't even at her best yet. Despite this, she was already carrying the league as a whole. Consider it for a moment. For more than 25 years, the WNBA had been trying to find a way to become more popular. They experimented with rebrands, slogans, and everything else. And ultimately, they weren't salvaged by a marketing effort. Caitlin Clark was the one. However, the league made a choice so ill-advised that it would cause a stir in the sports media, other leagues, and even Wall Street, rather than appreciating her worth and treating her like the superstar she was. Because the WNBA chose to give Caitlin Clark something completely different in return for her setting records for everyone else. Disrespect. The fairy tale broke at this point. Despite the record-breaking ratings, the sold-out arenas, and the jerseys flying off the racks, Caitlin Clark didn't receive recognition as payment. It was a black and white print of shame. Her 4-year rookie deal was worth $338,000 in total. That comes to around $85,000 annually if you do the maths. $85,000. Some assistant coaches earn more than that. That is less than a project manager at a software firm or a mid-level accountant. Nevertheless, this was the woman's salary for maintaining the WNBA's relevance on her own. Let's now put things into context. Within the NBA, a first-round draft choice agrees to a 4-year rookie deal for around $55 million. It's not a typo. $338,000 versus $55 million. The disparity is so enormous that it hardly seems genuine. Clark was being underappreciated, not underpaid. Compared to her male equivalent, the calculation comes out to almost 162 times less. Not half as much, not 10% less. 162 times. It's more than simply a pay disparity. It's a canyon. The league is announcing to the world from a stage that they didn't appreciate its savior. Furthermore, the insult went beyond the salary. Because it sends a message to everyone else when you undervalue a player on paper. She is amenable. She is not a celebrity who needs protection. She is only another name on the list. There was more to this deal than just a lousy figure. It served as the prelude to a far larger treachery. One where the disrespect would manifest itself physically on the court. The contempt didn't remain in writing. Onto the court it bled. Caitlin Clark became a target almost instantly. The way the league handled her was seen by the opposing players. They took full advantage of the little contract, the lack of protection, and the indication that she was simply another rookie. She encountered a degree of hostility that well above typical defense in each game. Shvees given while she was in the air, hip checks that sent her flying, and off-ball hits intended to knock her down rather than protect her. These weren't serious infractions. They were deliberate attempts to scare her and weaken her both psychologically and physically. Additionally, the silent referees for the WNBA sucked their whistles. The league office ignored the situation. With her name on the marquee, they were thrilled to sell out venues. They were content to plaster her face on advertising posters, but they abandoned them when it came time to safeguard the investment that was holding them afloat. An incident that fans are still talking about was the tipping point. During a game, Brittany Gurrier seemed to be caught on camera making a racist comment to Clark. Like wildfire, the video went viral. Lip readers provided feedback. The fans were furious. Nevertheless, the league took no action once more. No suspension, no penalties, no investigation. It was a very obvious message. It was Caitlin Clark alone. Additionally, such message was risky. Because every cheap shot feels justifiable when the officials and the league fail to enforce the rules. It becomes tougher with each thrust. The dirtiness increases with each foul. The WNBA was paying a price for its carelessness in sending its best star into combat without armor. One individual can only handle so much. Bad contracts can be survived. You can even tolerate rudeness in public. However, the end is inevitable when the physical toll mounts and every game seems like open season for your body. That ended for Caitlin Clark on September 5, 2025. The announcement was devastating. Due to a right groin injury, she was declared out for the rest of the WNBA season. It was described as regrettable in the headlines. They referred to it as ill luck. Let's face it, though, this wasn't an accident. This was not a chance occurrence. This served as payment for months of carelessness. Remember what she went through. The delicate, risky hits away from the ball, the elbows, the hip checks, and the continuous schvies while she was in the air. Game after game, everything piled up while league executives remained mute and officials turned a blind eye. At last, her body shattered. And it broke because the mechanism meant to keep her safe never performed as intended, not because she was weak. It wasn't merely a catastrophe that caused the injury. It may have been avoided. It was the logical outcome of a league that was prepared to pay her but not to safeguard her well-being. The WNBA didn't simply lose its biggest star at that precise time. It revealed that it was unable to care for the one who had saved it. The tale changes at this point, because people were observing Clark as he was healing from the suffering that the league let to occur. Business moguls, investors, and rival leagues. On the sidelines, they witnessed the WNBA's golden goose laying hurt. And they knew just how much she was worth, unlike the WNBA. The vultures started to circle as soon as Caitlin Clark fell. They weren't scavengers. Their actions were opportunistic. They were prepared to offer her what the WNBA had turned down: real money, protection, and respect. Her journey didn't end with the injury. It was the catalyst for her final act of retaliation. The WNBA believed it was in complete control. They felt that Caitlin Clark was stuck in a league that undervalued her and unwilling to defend her, constrained by her rookie contract. They were unaware that everything was altered by the damage. Her position was not weakened by it. It revealed their shortcomings. And all of a sudden, doors began to open. The first came from Unrivaled, a 3-on-3 league that was a recent competitor. They did not consider Clark to be a cost to be minimized, in contrast to the WNBA. She was viewed as a pillar by them. They made a proposal that attracted attention right away. Over $1 million annually, in addition to something far more potent, an ownership interest in the league. This went beyond a simple contract. It was an appeal for power, legacy, and ownership. Caitlin Clark was being handled differently than simply another player in a long queue of draft selections for the first time. Instead of merely receiving a paycheck, she was being treated like a partner who might influence the future. The WNBA had not treated her with the same level of respect from day one, much alone that. The best part is that Unrivaled's offer had nothing to do with money. It has to do with the message. "We see your value," they said. "You're getting paid for more than just your performance on the court. We are making an investment in what you stand for."